Hey guys, Matt here. Thanks for listening to episode 6 of the Obsessive Viewer podcast. I want to let everyone know that our contest is still going strong and that if you have any interesting or memorable movie theater experiences to share with us, you can email us at ovpodcast@gmail.com. I think I'm going to throw in a $10 gift certificate to Amazon.com to whoever has the best story, and we've had a lot of really good ones so far. And so get your submissions in, and we'll probably start announcing the winners, and we'll send out the gift card probably in 2 weeks. We don't have a firm date down or anything like that. Anyway, this episode is our 6th episode, and I had a blast with this one. Me and Tiny were joined by my friend Mike from Evansville. Mike is one of my closest friends, and we met about 8 years ago. He and Tiny had never met before this podcast, and they're two of my best friends in the world. So this was just a really interesting day recording this podcast, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did recording it. So enjoy and let us know what you think. Send us an email, ovpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks.
Tiny, it's nice to meet your voice.
Yes, it's nice to put a voice with the name.
And I've had a theory for a while. I've known Matt for 8 years. I've had a theory for about 7 that there is no Tiny. That Tiny is a fabrication of Matt's either imagination or just some sick ruse that he
psychosis.
Yeah, like
if anybody's gonna pull that off, it'd be Matt.
It would be almost like he moved away from Evansville after freshman year, and he just wanted me to feel bad. You stay in Evansville, Mike. I'm gonna hang out with Tiny.
I have my own friend up here.
Yeah.
You've never seen him. You've never heard his voice. You've never met him, but he's here. He's real.
For like a year after college, he did refer to me as Indianapolis Mike.
Yes, yeah. And I refer to Mike as Evansville Tiny.
Still convinced, probably until I meet Tiny in person, that it is Matt's mom with like an affectation on her voice.
Oh my god.
Which is fine. Hi, Matt's mom.
So today we're going to be discussing Pacific Rim and the 2013 Emmy nominations. But just for a brief moment before we start, I wanted to comment on something I watched on The Simpsons. I've been watching a lot of The Simpsons. I'm kind of going through the whole series just in the background while I'm pretending to be productive. And I'm on season 18 now, shockingly enough. This is like been a year that I've been doing this.
Wow. How did you get past season 9?
I had it on in the background. All the last 9 seasons have been just background noise to me. But I caught something that every time I watch a cartoon sitcom, I always have this little thing in the back of my head that it's weird to me that they don't age. I mean, I understand it's a cartoon, they don't need to age or anything, but I mean, I just feel like it's just kind of creepy. So there was this episode in season 18 of The Simpsons where it opens with Marge reading in a magazine that having a baby that is dependent on her pacifier is bad for her mental health or whatever, her development. So they take away Maggie's pacifier, and then she freaks out and all that. And all I'm thinking is, it doesn't matter because she's never going to age. And it's just almost tragic to think that these characters are just there. Like, she should be 18. She should be moving out of the house, and she's still a baby. And that's horrible.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird. My thing has always been, I guess not always, but in the last couple of years, there are more episodes now of The Simpsons. What are they up to? Like 300 something?
3 something.
Yeah.
300 something. There are almost more episodes than there are in a year, and they haven't aged a year. Yet, they've celebrated several birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something that always... I guess that's why I can't get past.
Right. And plus, it just, the whole... Yeah, the quality just goes to hell.
Yeah.
So shall we get on to our first topic of discussion and the Guillermo del Toro.
Wow, you butchered that.
It
just lost all of our Hispanic listeners.
Did.
Well, Guillermo.
Guillermo.
Will Ermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro's
Pacifist.
Pacific rhyme.
But his new summer blockbuster, Pacific Rim, it's a mesh of Transformers and Godzilla, and it's just monsters fighting robots, and it has a crazy cast and all that. Just of big name actors of small screen and large screen. And so we all three have seen it over the past week, and we're gonna discuss it. And I'm gonna start out by saying I wasn't a big fan of it. What did you guys think?
So many people on the internets just hyped it so hard and went into it with such high expectations, and I guess I didn't have that high expectations. Apparently, there's this big group of kaiju fans who've been waiting for this movie forever, or
Really?
I don't know that there really are, but everybody seemed to be super excited about it as soon as this came out. But I'll say that when the movie was over, it was pretty much exactly what I expected.
Sure.
Same here.
Yeah.
Neither pleasantly surprised or incredibly let down.
Okay.
Simply entertained. And I can get into more detail in a minute. But Tiny, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with the whole hype thing. I think a big part of that is Guillermo del Toro just has a huge following amongst nerds. And I mean, I'm a nerd. I like the guy. I think he's a really great visionary director.
Yeah, I love Pan's Labyrinth.
Absolutely, yeah. That's his greatest achievement in my opinion. So yeah, it did have a lot of hype around it, and the cast was really big and all that stuff. So yeah, it had a lot of hype, and I don't know. I agree with what you said that it basically just met my expectations. It served its purpose, I guess. That's how I felt.
Yeah. And to speak about the big hype surrounding it and all these kaiju fans and all that, I think part of that might be that this was one of the only like big, huge summer blockbusters that I can think of off the top of my head this year that is an original property is an original idea. Because I mean, it didn't come from any source material to my knowledge, and I think maybe people were just excited to have something that they didn't have anything to judge it against or anything like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. But can we all agree that the script was just god awful?
It was really bad.
Yes.
It was. I saw it with a friend, and we see a movie in the theaters every week. And the first thing he turns to me, he goes, "The acting was bad." I said, "Well, no, not really, but I think the script was terrible."
I agree completely. I was thinking about that, like there were lines where Charlie Hunnam would say something that would just come across as just super cheesy. Like I can't even think of any off the top of my head, but anytime someone said something cheesy, it'd be like, wow, that's my default would be like, that's horribly acted. But I mean, the movie has, I mean, Charlie Day, Charlie Hunnam, as much as I dislike Sons of Anarchy these days, Charlie Hunnam's talented. Idris Elba, um, a bunch of people that are just like they're really talented actors, and they're just coming across just flat and just uninspired because the script is flat and uninspired.
They had nothing to work with.
Exactly.
I have this thing, and I've talked about this before with you, Matt. I have trouble getting past fake American accents. We can talk about that perhaps on another podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Higher. Anyway, the Charlie Hunnam, clearly British. Idris Elba, clearly British. But there are just times where you could hear their native accent coming through, and that for me made particularly Idris Elba seem flat.
It's interesting that you mentioned Idris Elba's his accent, because wasn't he playing like just his native accent, or was it just shining through that much throughout the movie?
He was using his native accent in the movie. Yeah,
I thought it was. Okay, I thought it was thicker. I thought he had a thicker accent than he was using.
He may have toned it down a little bit for the movie. That's always possible.
Part of it did sound like he was trying not to do it, but then he just defaulted into it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I totally agree with what you're saying there. Visually, it was visually astounding. I mean,
Absolutely.
it was incredible. The one complaint I have is that I just want to go to Del Toro and be like, dude, why did it have to be raining in every single action scene? I mean, that doesn't add anything to it. I mean, it adds just an aesthetic thing to it, but I mean, switch it up a little bit.
Funny that you say that. My favorite shot
Mhm.
of one of the kaiju, one of the creatures, was like the first shot of the movie when it's daylight, it's
Yes.
skies, and he attacks like the Golden Gate Bridge. Is that
Yeah, you're exactly right. Because I was going to make the same point. That was my favorite part too, when it's taking over the bridge.
Oh yeah,
at least
that
my
was
favorite
incredible.
creature scene?
Right. Can we talk a little bit about plot holes and just, I mean, okay, first of all, and I talked about this with Tiny, and he kind of shot down my, shot it down a little bit for me, but are these, it seemed like in the, like the final action scene or in any of the action scenes that take place on water, are we supposed to believe that that the Jaegers can walk on water or something? Because it seemed like they weren't deep enough.
Rocket propulsion that keeps them floating at the knees.
Really?
Are you talking about? No, no, no. Are you
Okay.
talking about how the levels of the water varied depending on what the scene needed?
It seemed like it seemed at times that they were walking on water, and I understand that these are huge machines.
Yeah,
um like I actually saw a picture that kind of that compared them all to like other things, and like Optimus Prime is just like a little tiny baby compared to it. But
sure.
so I understand that it's not, it's shallow water because they're kind of close to like Hong Kong or whatever, but it just seemed like I was just, it was, I was at that point where I was trying to pick apart the movie, so I just went ahead and thought like, are we supposed to think that they're buoyant or whatever, or because they're too top heavy to be buoyant or to float on water. So I was just like looking for things, and that's not something I like to do. Like I'm the kind of person who I'll go into a movie and if I'm on board with it, I just go with the flow, and then later I pick it apart. But this was like I was just seeking things to complain about, and that was one of the things that came up. Uh,
If I'm getting what you're asking, you're confused, and I think I was too, at how at some times the Jaeger could almost stand on the water, at least at knee level, but then at the
yes.
climax of the movie, is this spoilers galore here?
Let's keep it spoiler free, but I know what you're saying. Like it was walking underwater. We'll say that. Yeah.
Exactly, several thousand feet below water.
Right.
I mean, on the ocean bed below.
Right. Yeah, and that's where the discrepancy in my mind came.
I
Um,
wonder. I wonder if it's the scenes at the knees. Was that because it was close to the coast?
Yes, that's the point that I made because there's the like if I'm not like a geology expert, but I know that like the closer you get to the shore, the higher the less deep the water is because there's like a continental shelf that
Right.
drops off. There's like a steep drop off, and that's what they show in that the climax of the
right.
climax of the film. They show them walking down that shelf, going deeper and deeper, and all of the I made the point that all of the fighting before that between the Jaegers and the kaiju all happened close to shore,
Right.
and sometimes that shelf can go like 100 miles out to sea
Right.
in some places of the world. I don't know specifically because most of the fighting took place in Alaska and Hong Kong area. So I think I don't know specifically in those areas how far out that goes, but I think that's just safe to assume that that's what happened.
Okay, yeah, I can get on board with that. But okay, I'm gonna break the rule that I just established, and I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. But I will say that right now, if you're when you're listening to this, I'm about to spoil it, and you can look like pause it and check and see the notes and everything, and I'll tell you when to pick it back up in the notes or whatever. So prepare because I'm about to spoil it. Okay, at the end when they're going down, what I'm effectively calling the Jaeger bomb, um, they establish like I talked about this with Tiny and Mike. Maybe you can shed some light on this.
Mhm.
So they take the bomb down, but they can't go through the barrier to go through the wormhole until unless they have hold of one of the creatures, one of the kaiju, so that they can gain access. Correct?
Right. The DNA code
Right.
Exactly.
access card key.
So why is it that when they go down, when they're down there and everything, they're able to come back up through it in their what's the word I'm looking for?
They go through the portal, and then they're in that other universe, but then they eject like escape pods.
Escape pods, yes.
From the Jaegers, but they manage to get all the way through back to our universe.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree. More spoilers. I'm okay with that the girl got through because she was ejected in the throat.
Yes.
Correct. Charlie Hunnam's character is all the way in the other dimension. You make a good point.
Yeah.
Well, and I think this is gonna get nerdy here, but like I think what it is that the beings in the other universe, they control the portal, so they control what comes in. So that's why they had to have the body of the kaiju, but they don't necessarily control what goes out. Like I would think for there to be control about what comes into our universe, we would have to be controlling it on our end. But because there's no one controlling it on our end, anything can come through. That's how I feel about it. And that's a bit of a stretch. They should allude to that, I guess, in the movie to make it clear, but it's a big popcorn movie, so they're not too worried about those details. But I get what you're saying.
Right. It was sloppy.
It was sloppy.
I'll leave it at that. Okay, can we close out spoilers now and go back to non-spoilers?
Yeah.
Okay. Whoa, those were crazy spoilers. Okay. So I just thought that the script was, like I said, it was awful, and not just dialogue wise. It was awful on all counts. Dialogue, structure, just basic storytelling elements. It was very formulaic. It was very just kind of, you could see everything coming a mile away. Like I wanted not to do spoilers, but I mean honestly, you could go back and listen to it, and it's everything you expected. But don't, because I don't want you to be mad at me.
Could I talk about one thing? You texted me your initial reaction after you saw it.
Yes.
It was about 45 minutes long.
Absolutely.
I agree completely. And my comment was it's 45 minutes in the middle.
Yes, it was very muddled in that like second act.
Absolutely. And more than anything, for me, it was the Idris Elba and his adopted daughter.
Yes. When they had the first when they had the first scene where they did a trial run of it, where they were testing out the Jaeger with them too. That was the point where I was like, okay, how much longer in this movie do I have? Because it was just backstory, and I knew at that point that it was something I'm not going to care about. Like if I was watching it at home, I would have been checking my phone throughout pretty much the entire movie.
My friend who saw the movie when, and as soon as they go, the one pops up in Hong Kong. He goes, about time.
Yeah. Yep.
The thing about the middle of the movie, I'll talk specifically about the adopted daughter. The first time you see the little girl, it's pretty thrilling. I like that scene a lot.
I agree.
Yeah, visually it was great.
It was scary.
Yeah. But the second time you see it, and she stops and she turns around more spoil. Sorry.
Whatever.
Turns around the corner and she looks up at the big Jaeger, and it's like 2 minutes before it gets to the top, and then Idris Elba comes out, and you're supposed to gasp. He finds her. I mean, so long. Why was that moment so long? I didn't need that at all.
And why were we supposed to be surprised? Because it was so. Ugh.
And yeah, to Matt's point about just the sloppiness of the film overall, I didn't care about any of the character development at all.
Me neither.
Even in the beginning, when I don't know if we should spoil it or not, just about.
Well, if it's in the beginning, well,
early in the beginning of it's like the opening part of the film.
The catalyst for Charlie Hunnam's journey or whatever.
Yeah, basically, he's a co-pilot with his brother, and in the beginning, his brother dies.
Right.
And so, like even that point, being that I have an older brother, I should have really connected with that and been like, it should have affected me, but it really just didn't. I just didn't really care. And same thing with Idris Elba and the Asian girl. I didn't care. It took away from the action. Basically, it's like show me some more fights. That's all I wanted to see.
I agree completely.
I had trouble buying how elite you had to be to pilot a Jaeger.
Yeah.
They played up this bond that you're supposed to have with your co-pilot, and then the Asian girl and Charlie Hunnam was like, "Oh, hey, yeah, we're good."
Yeah, after like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there was something. The first of all, the actor, the father and son who are the co-pilots. First of all, I looked it up because I was like, throughout the whole movie, I'm like, wait, are they brothers or no? They're father and son. Oh, okay. Because the guy like referred to him as like, oh, my old man. And I was like, is that just what they call their co-pilots? Because they didn't look like father and son. They didn't look age appropriate. And I looked it up, and the father is like only 14 years older than the son, and that's the only time that I've thought that like casting like in recent memory of any movie that I've seen is like, wow, the father and son, that just doesn't work. But to the son in that scenario, it was such a hackneyed kind of thing, or kind of just a it was like, okay, well, we need a character to breed like be to not like Charlie Hunnam. We need our hero to have just a guy that doesn't like him. So like, hey, oh, here, let's just make this pilot that, oh, they have a dog, and we'll throw him in, and he'll just be like an antagonist for Charlie Hunnam for no reason at all.
Yeah, just to add friction.
Yeah, and a pilot for the climax, so they had another Jaeger.
Right.
Yeah, basically.
We need another Jaeger. Let's make up some characters.
Yep.
Right.
At the end when they showed, or when they had, I think there were like 3 Jaegers in play in the climax of it, and like that one, I had no idea who those people were.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Just a mess of a movie. I enjoyed watching it for the visuals, but I'll never see it again. I'll probably never see it again unless I do a Del Toro. Notice I haven't been using his first name. Pull out of myself. Unless I do like a Del Toro retrospective, in which I'll have plenty to say about it on the blog.
Will you include a Benicio in there?
That'd make a good double feature, like The Usual Suspects and Pan's Labyrinth or something.
Labyrinth. Labyrinth. Yeah. So yeah, I agree, and I think Charlie Day like was really underused.
He really was.
The whole movie could have used. Yeah, he could have used a lot more. The movie in general could have used a lot more comic relief, and he would have been perfect for that because he's an improvisational actor, and he's a writer, he's a producer, he does all kinds of stuff. He would have been perfect for the comic relief, but he has like maybe a couple lines, and that's it in the whole movie.
Yeah, he's. I've said it before, and I will say it again many times, that he is probably one of the best, if not the best, comedic actor working today.
Oh yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, and he's, he was in probably 20% of the movie, I would say, total.
Yeah, if that.
If that, and I mean his whole arc was just completely unnecessary. It was part of the muddled kind of midway point, and it was, I don't know. Ugh.
Well, unnecessary or an homage to scientist characters in these type of movies?
You could say that.
Both.
Well, okay, right, true.
Yeah.
Unnecessary, but I don't think. I don't know. I don't think inconsequential.
Okay, yeah. He was probably, for me, aside from the visuals, he was probably my favorite part of the movie, just because I'm a Charlie Day fan, and I thought in his over the topness, I mean, it was over the top no matter what, but he kind of had this charm to the over the topness of it. If that makes any sense. Maybe I'm just a Charlie Day fanboy, but
he did the best he could with the character.
Yeah, he did. I don't know.
About I guess you could call it a Deus Ex Machina with when they're out in space and they're hopeless, and Charlie Hunnam says, "There's nothing more we can do." And the girl, "No, there's one thing we can do," and they have a sword that they haven't used at all.
They haven't alluded to. They haven't referenced. And what killed me was that Charlie Hunnam was he actually said, "We're out of options." And we have the sword.
Nothing left. Why didn't he remember the sword? That's one problem. The other problem is, why didn't they use the sword?
Yeah.
At all before.
Yeah.
Which clearly slices through these things like butter.
It's very effective. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then the other Jaeger like had like sword arms too. So I mean, why not make that standard for? I don't know. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
Yeah. So in closing for me, I didn't like the script. Thought the visuals were great. Won't see it again probably. Any parting thoughts for you, Mike?
Samesies. I I really like Charlie Hunnam. Um, I think he could do a lot of action stuff. Except I don't like Sons of Anarchy. And then just Charlie Day needs.
It really does.
Great, yeah.
Tiny, any last words?
Pretty much the same. I think I can't lie. I actually had a good time with the movie. I had a good time. I didn't, I got my $7.50 worth out of it, in my opinion. I liked watching a giant robot use an oil tanker as a weapon. That's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
You gotta admit that stuff's kind of cool. But yeah, and I agree about Charlie Hunnam as well. I've seen him in other stuff where he's really come across the screen really well. He has the ability to carry a character and to make it better than it is. He has the ability to be a leading man and to carry a film. So yeah, I have high hopes for him still. He's still pretty young and he can do a lot of great things, I think. But yeah, overall, just not a great movie.
I agree. Okay. Well, I went to a theater that had $5 matinees, so I feel like I got my money's worth. So, all right. Should we move on to the Emmy nominations?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, we'll go through the list from the bottom up, and I'll start us off with
Outstanding technical direction, camera work, video control for a miniseries, movie, or special.
Oh man.
Because I love the Super Bowl halftime show starring Beyonce.
Oh yes, yes.
Who didn't?
Mike, you watch Saturday Night Live pretty regularly, don't you?
Yeah. I joke that my mom is Saturday Night Live's last true fan. So if I go visit the parents for a weekend, I'll watch it. So
Okay.
not regularly, but I'll watch 6 episodes.
Okay. Because I mean, I noticed that it got some nominations for a couple of the hosts, and Bill Hader, I think, got a nod. It seems like just paying lip service to a brand.
Yeah, an institution.
An institution, yeah. There you go.
Right. I think those nominations are indicative of the Hollywood hierarchy, if you will, because people in Hollywood still hold SNL in very high regard, as opposed to the fan base, which doesn't really think it's great anymore.
By Hollywood hierarchy, you're referring to old people, right?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Maybe they're so disconnected from it that they just said it.
I guess so.
Just to have something to say, or I don't know. How about outstanding directing for a comedy series? Well, like I noticed that Girls got a nomination, which I haven't seen Girls, the show. Hosting a podcast and running a blog, I don't see a lot of girls in real life either.
What are you talking about?
But there's an episode. The episode that was nominated for best directing was On All Fours, which Tiny has told me about. Mike, do you watch Girls at all? The show?
I don't. My fiance's obsessed with it.
Okay. Tiny, do you want to share your thoughts on Girls?
The show. Again, the show, yeah. I have a lot of respect for the show because creatively it's actually pretty impressive, but I absolutely despise every single character on that show. They're all awful people that I just want to backhand after every episode. I hate them. It's essentially a 28, 29-minute long show of 20 somethings complaining about things that aren't really that bad. It's they should call the show First World Problems.
Nice.
So annoying. But like I said, it's really well written. All the actors are actually really good. I think it paints a sad but accurate picture of the generation that they're talking about. Our generation, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an effective show on all those counts. I just despise the characters, and it's hard for me to watch it. Really, that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Looking at the nominations, I'm surprised to see Glee there. Do people still watch Glee? Nobody watches Glee. Nobody holds Glee in any regard.
I don't think Glee was relevant enough to garner any kind of award recognition.
Right.
Like a who will win, who should win kind of deal. Because if I'm going to say who should win, it's Louis C.K. hands down. Just because the amount of creative control and input he puts into
Absolutely. I mean,
the
all of
show,
his.
and it's brilliant.
He's like it's kind of. It seemed like it was nominated kind of across the board, and if you look, I mean, his name is attached to almost every nomination. I mean, writing, directing, probably editing too. I didn't keep track of the editing ones, but I mean, he just like you said, creative control. I mean, it's astounding. But what I was saying, what I was telling Tiny last night is that there's so many shows, and this is going on to 30 Rock getting double nominations for writing for comedy series. I feel like the nominees, there's so many shows out there that every nomination, every category of nomination should have a limit. Like one show should only have one representation in that category, because 30 Rock has two nominations in writing, and then like later we'll talk about Modern Family having three nominees for supporting actor, but that'll be later. But it's like in situations like that, other shows that are better. I stopped watching 30 Rock after maybe 4 or 5 seasons because I was just kind of bored with it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of like, oh hey, Liz Lemon has a boyfriend. Oh, but she's too quirky and weird or socially inept to handle him. So, oh, he dumped her. That's just how it was for me. And there was a good satire and all that, but and goofiness. But I was just bored. But anyway, I mean, you have like Parks and Rec would have been perfect for writing.
Yeah.
For supporting actor later on. And like I had a conversation with on Twitter last night with the co-host of a podcast I listened to, the Title Pending Movie Podcast, with Tank and Fogs. I mean, like he was upset because Parks and Rec didn't get nominated, especially Nick Offerman, who we'll talk about later. But I mean, there's just so much talent on both sides of the camera in that series that it shouldn't go unrecognized. And I would be saying the same thing about Community if last season of Community wasn't kind of a train wreck.
Yeah, it was a bit of a turd.
A little bit.
I agree with that, and I think again, back to the Hollywood hierarchy or the insider nature of that business, I think that's why that happens. And if you notice before when we were talking about outstanding directing for a comedy series, if you notice that Girls, the person who's nominated is actually Lena Dunham because she directs most of the episodes. Right. And I think part of the reason why that nomination is there is just because so many people in Hollywood love Lena Dunham. They're just huge fans of hers. They're not necessarily making a commentary on her talent, but they're just talking about how much they like her, and so they want to nominate her.
Yeah.
Why that's there. And same thing with 30 Rock. Like 30 Rock was really never much of a ratings giant for NBC. It was just the only reason why it stuck around for as long as it did is because it was hugely critically acclaimed by anyone part of that group, that big Hollywood group.
Mm-hmm.
Reason why it stuck around for so long, not because of ratings. And I think the nominations in that category are indicative of that they have 2 nominations for that, and I think that's why that happens. Same thing with SNL and Modern Family. I think that's why that happens is because people in Hollywood just love it and they control who gets on the ballot, so that's why it happens.
Yep.
Just to be clear, the writing is they submit an episode, right? So they are nominated for the writing of an episode, correct?
Right.
So yes.
Is the same said for directing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That to me is confusing. I guess I just don't understand the selection process. I don't understand the system. And we kind of talk about how we feel about the Oscars, Matt, Oscar season.
Yeah.
You know, and you take it with such a grain of salt, and I just appreciate the shared experience, and the, you know, if this many people like this movie and I like this movie, it feels good. I don't know. But if with the Emmys, there's just so many episodes of so many shows. Why is Paris Barclay's episode of Glee particularly noteworthy? I don't know the answer.
Tiny was actually just talking about that last night because he was wondering. What did you say last night about it?
I said that it seems weird for writing, especially like why they pick a specific episode and why they don't just view the season as a whole. Like
Right.
I mean, it
Because
depends.
then you can cut down on. Well, you can't because the season has multiple writers.
That was the reasoning. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if with writers, um, you get one person that's like, oh, they're the credited writer, but I mean, it's born out of a writer's room.
Exactly.
So I mean, people touch it up, and the showrunners give passes on it and all that. So it's kind of I don't know. I mean, a win for a writer of a show is just by default a win for the writers' room.
True.
How I believe. I don't know. I'm talking here from Speedway, Indiana, so I have no idea how Hollywood works, how the inner workings of Hollywood work. So
Can a show that aired during the eligible time for this award, that is now officially canceled, be nominated? For instance,
yeah,
Endings be nominated
Yeah.
for Outstanding Comedy Series, despite it.
it can and it should.
Agreed.
That's why I ask. Outstanding Directing.
Yeah. But sadly, I mean, I they're never they will I don't know off the top of my head any instances where a canceled show is nominated, but I just know that they would never do that, because that's one of my problems with award shows in general, is that it's more about just people like the Hollywood elite patting themselves on the back instead of honoring like actual talent, like you guys were saying, Lena Dunham, everyone loves her, hey, let's give her an award.
Right.
Yeah, like I mean, if I don't know, if someone that's horrible made something but people loved him, they'd give him an award because they love him like on a personal level. I mean, it's politics.
Right.
So I think we can officially, just to get the podcast moving, we can officially say none of us agree with the way the Emmys work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But I guess we can just go through and talk about basically what should win.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so the big
Say
one.
Louis C.K. for Louis.
Okay, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I need to get into Louis.
Do you appreciate his comedy? Do you watch
Oh
his
yeah,
stand-up ever?
absolutely. I just haven't gotten around to seeing the show. I've seen the first season, but I just haven't gotten around to the rest of it. And I really like it. Just haven't gotten around to it. Supporting actress in a comedy series, we have Mayim Balak in butchered it.
Mayim Bialik.
Yeah, we have Blossom in The Big Bang Theory. Jane Lynch in Glee, two from Modern Family, Sofia Vergara and Julie Bowen. Then we have Nurse Jackie and a 30 Rock nod and Veep.
Chlumsky, which is my girl.
Yes.
Yep. And she is very good on that show, actually, on Veep. She's really funny.
That's what I've heard.
She's well suited to that comedy style.
Nice. Would you say that you want her to get the win?
I'd say toss up between her and Sofia Vergara. Just because, again, Sofia Vergara is perfect for that role, and she's really hot.
Yeah, sure. Mike, how about you?
I just think Sofia Vergara is too one note for me.
I agree.
I don't know. I guess I'm not qualified enough. Watch enough of these shows.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And like I said, again, supporting actress in a comedy. I mean, I know Mike, I know you're not a fan of her, but I think Aubrey Plaza would have been a good nominee for that for Parks and Rec.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or Rashida Jones or anybody from Parks and Rec. I mean,
yeah.
Yep. It just got
happy endings, really.
Oh yes.
Right. Yeah. Any of them.
Alicia Cuthbert.
Yep.
Happy endings. I thought that she. I mean, I was a diehard 24 fan in another life, and I just I think that she is just perfect for that style, that sitcom environment. She's just perfectly suited for that type of show.
And I love the Joey Tribbianification of her
character. Nice.
Female lead-ish cool to comedic dummy.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna go on a rant about The Big Bang Theory. I I watched it for
You hate it?
I do. I
Okay.
watched it for like 4 seasons, just
Tiny.
in the background. Tiny, what do you think of Big Bang Theory?
I loved it I loved it like at first, the first 4 or 5 seasons, but it's fallen off in quality. I'm getting kind of tired of the characters, but
Okay.
I still watch it because I still like the characters to an extent. I still watch it. I still enjoy it.
Okay, Mike, do you want to be the new official co-host of the Obsessive Viewer? Because no,
Oh,
just kidding. But it's a very accessible show. It's just lowest common denominator, with the masquerade of being this hybrid, or like kind of like people say like, oh, the show's really smart, and it's not. It's stupid humor under the guise of scientific or scientist characters. It's I don't know, like they dumb it down. The jokes aren't that funny.
It is dumbed down, and my big problem. I've said this. My thing about Big Bang Theory, and I've said this kind of from the beginning, and I watched a little bit of the first season, was their geekiness is not authentic whatsoever.
Not at all.
For me, and I'm a big comic book guy, big sci-fi guy. Very specific about my interests. And it's not so much anymore, but you know how there's you're either Marvel or DC, or you're either Star Trek or Star Wars. And that's not always the case, but
Right.
a lot of times you're fans of some things and you don't really like other things. The thing about the Big Bang Theory is that they're geeks about everything. Whatever serves the episode, they can be geeks about.
that is very true. I agree with that. And to make a not a counterpoint, but I would say that their geekiness is it's not like it's disingenuous. It's just that it's too broad. Like you said, it covers everything. It lacks specificity. It needs they can't be Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, and Magic the Gathering nerds. Like no, those people don't exist.
The way that you describe that could be just the perfect description of the entire series. It's too broad. They're not, yeah, and it's true. They're not brand loyal to anything because I don't know.
That's fair.
Episode, it's funny that it's Lord of the Rings. This episode, it's funny.
Right.
They can get this guest star from Star Trek.
Yeah. I will say though that my favorite episode of The Big Bang Theory just total is the episode where Raj can't talk to women. That's my favorite one. And the episode where Howard lives with his mom, because those two are just they don't do it that often, but
The episode where Sheldon's weird.
yes. If you guys can't detect the sarcasm, I'm laying it on pretty thick because it seemed like every season had to have one like, oh, Wolowitz lives with his mom and should break away from her, but oh nope, he isn't. Or Raj can't talk to girls. Let's give him some beer, and oh, that's all right. Although him having the relationship with Siri, with Siri was okay.
It's funny because both of those things you just named have been rectified.
Have they really?
Yeah.
Like for real?
Wolowitz moved out, and Raj can talk to girls now.
Wow. How many seasons
Don't even try. Don't even try to convince us because it's not.
Oh, I'm never gonna go back to it.
Oh, I'm not trying to bring you back because it's my loyalty is also waning in these later seasons. But I guess I just watch it out of nostalgia, really. And plus Kaylee Cuoco, I love her.
Yes.
A better show, 8 Simple Rules. Well, for dating my teenage daughter. Once they cut that part off.
Never watched that one.
Me neither.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if you're being sarcastic.
No. John Ritter was excellent. It was a good show. Ending supporting actress. I'm gonna say Julie Bowen. Tiny.
Yeah.
Matt.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard really good things about Anna Chlumsky of My Girl. I haven't seen it, but I'll pull for her just because I think it'd be neat to see a child star kind of do that. Although I guess Mayim Bialik is also Veep. I'll go with Veep. This is a mess.
Supporting actor.
Supporting actor. Well, the odds are that it's going to be someone from Modern Family because they're dominating the thing, which it should be Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
It should be Damon Wayans Jr. from Happy Ending.
Yes.
Who I have said to you verbatim in a text. funniest character on TV.
Up there, definitely up there.
Definitely up there.
Charlie Day, wouldn't you, Matt?
Yeah, I would. Well, I wouldn't. I would say that I said that Charlie Day is the best comedic actor working. Not necessarily that. I mean, It's Always Sunny is in its what 7th, 8th season,
Something like that.
and I'm getting kind of. I mean, it's fun, but I don't know. I wish that he would move on. Like they would just move on, and he would be the comedic film star that he's destined to be.
Right.
But Tiny, do you want to talk a little bit about Adam Driver? Because I know that you had thoughts about him.
Yes, actually, that was for this category, outstanding supporting actor in a comedy series. He's actually my pick, Adam Driver from Girls, and I think all of the other nominees are, they're due those nominations, with the exception of Bill Hader, because again we talked about that earlier. It's kind of weird Saturday Night Live being in there, but
Yeah.
but Adam Driver, he is the brightest part of Girls, in my opinion. He's ironic because the show's called Girls and it's a male actor, but he is just absolutely incredible. He hasn't done much else. He had a brief role in the movie Lincoln, but he had like just a couple lines and that was it. But he is absolutely just magnetic on Girls. You can't take your eyes off him. And again, it's funny that he's nominated as a comedic role because his character is incredibly intense. Mm-hmm. Like part of his story arc in the first couple seasons was just how he was dating Lena Dunham's character, and she thought he was literally insane, like diagnosably insane. So that's what's interesting about the character. He just plays it perfectly. I can't wait to see what he does next. I'll put it that way. He's incredible.
Okay. Let's see. Moving on to now, we're getting into drama, which I have to say I'm just flat out ecstatic about Netflix with House of Cards doing it.
Absolutely.
Are we talking about supporting again?
I'm sorry?
Are we talking about supporting again?
Outstanding directing for a drama series. We'll go with that. But Netflix, I mean, just House of Cards blew me away when I watched it. It was, I mean, it is the best. It is one of the best, if not the best, series on television now. And what just is astonishing to me is that it's not even on conventional television.
Yeah.
Which just makes it all the sweeter. But for outstanding directing for a drama series, we have Boardwalk Empire, Breaking Bad, Downton Abbey, Homeland, and House of Cards. And this is for directing, and I would have to go with House of Cards. It's funny because there's Breaking Bad, Boardwalk Empire, and House of Cards. Breaking Bad is about to end. When Breaking Bad ends, and I've said this before on the podcast, and I'm sorry for repeating myself, but Boardwalk Empire is going to be the champion, like the best show on TV for me. But then House of Cards could easily take it over the season. So it'll be an interesting category. What do you guys think, Tiny?
I think Tim Van Patten for Boardwalk Empire. I actually think he has the bigger burden directing that show because it's a period piece, the bigger cast. But I'm gonna have to go with David Fincher for House of Cards because he just set the tone for that series perfectly. It's David Fincher. I mean, can't go wrong with him. So that's my pick, David Fincher.
The other directors picked it up perfectly well, and I mean, it just made for one of the best first seasons of a TV show ever. Mike, what do you think?
I've yet to watch House of Cards. I'm really, and I don't watch Downton Abbey. I'm really only familiar with Breaking Bad and Homeland.
Okay.
But for me, it's pretty clearly Breaking Bad. A lot of this, kind of, you talked about who has the harder job.
Yeah.
I don't know that the award is always given to he or she who has the harder job. I think it's the show or the favorite show.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, for me, it would be Breaking.
Okay. Yeah.
You can't really go wrong in that category, in my opinion.
They're all pretty good. I don't think anybody will be let down.
Right.
All right. Mike, you said that you're familiar with Homeland. How much of that have you watched? Because I haven't watched any of it, and I'd like to get kind of a read on it.
Only the first couple episodes of the first season.
Okay.
When it was was starting, and then I didn't catch up. But it was pretty good.
Okay, that's
Not
cool.
good enough for me to keep Showtime, but
okay. Writing for a drama series, we have 2 episodes of Breaking Bad, Dead Freight and Say My Name. And then we have an episode of Downton Abbey, and then Game of Thrones, and Homeland.
is Dead Freight the train heist?
Yes,
Okay,
that
no contest for me. That was one of the greatest episodes of television I've ever.
I agree, but I wouldn't pick that for me because I agree that it was one of the best ones, but Game of Thrones just killed it for me.
Yeah.
If you want to hear my thoughts on that episode of Game of Thrones, go back to episode, what was it, 4?
Yeah.
Our special Game of Thrones episode, because we talked ad nauseum about that. That was one of the most just intense episodes of television that I've ever seen. Just the ending was just magical, and so tragic and just jarring, and I loved it. So I'll go with Game of Thrones, with a close second being Dead Freight for Breaking Bad, because.
So now, did you have more of an emotional reaction to it, or do you truly think it's the better written episode of
Game of Thrones, all of the above. I had a
Really?
very strong emotional reaction to that. I couldn't stop thinking about it for weeks. Um, yeah, and I mean it was to the point where I literally said to Tiny, I was like, we need to do an entire episode of the podcast devoted to Game of Thrones and that episode, because it just had such an effect on me.
Agreed.
Yeah, for those who've seen, I know that you're not a fan of Game of Thrones or you haven't watched it, but for anyone that's listening who's seen it knows exactly what we're talking about, because it's one of the most memorable episodes, scenes, sequences of television that I've seen in recent memory.
Interestingly, I don't disagree with anything that Matt just said, but I'm actually going to go with Breaking Bad, the Dead Freight episode, and the reason is because this is specifically about writing. I liked the episode The Reigns of Castamere for Game of Thrones, that nomination. I liked that episode better overall than Dead Freight, but I think what made that episode so great was the acting and the directing of it, the way it was shot. I think that's what made that episode incredible for me.
And
Whereas I think
that's kind of my point that I was getting with. And I haven't seen the Game of Thrones episode, so I don't come from a place of authority. But as far as writing for an episode, and I'll let you finish. Sorry to Kanye you.
no, you're fine.
Writing for an episode, Dead Freight was. I mean, it's the best episode of Breaking Bad. I can say that.
That's a good choice. I agree. It's up there definitely for me.
Go ahead. Go ahead with your point.
Okay, my point about Dead Freight was that I think kind of what Mike was saying, that it's the structure of, I think the strength of that episode specifically was the structure of it, how it all played out, how it had to be planned, and I think the planning of that episode lies in the writing of it, the structure of the writing. So that's why I would pick that episode specifically for writing over Game of Thrones, in my opinion.
Okay, I can get on board with those arguments, but my closing statement for this category would be that I understand, yes, Dead Freight and Reigns of Castamere. If you look at them, they both, the most memorable thing about them, at least for me, was both of the endings of it. I mean, the way that the endings were executed were
Wordplay.
were just were really the most memorable parts of the episode. And I think that with the Reigns of Castamere, I just had a stronger emotional reaction. I thought that it was just, I haven't seen Dead Freight in a while, so, and it could just be that Game of Thrones is still fresh in my mind, but I just had a stronger emotional reaction, and I feel that that's indicative of the quality of the writing. So that's why I'm going with that. But yeah, any closing statements for this?
No, I think I covered mine pretty well.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, well, moving on to supporting actress in a drama series. Now, me and Tiny have a bone to pick with this one, but just running through the nominees, we have Anna Gunn for Breaking Bad, Maggie Smith for Downton Abbey, Emilia Clarke for Game of Thrones, Christine Baranski for the Good Wife, Morena Baccarin for Homeland, and Christina Hendricks for Mad Men. Now, I will say that I don't want to step on Tiny's toes here because I know that he has a lot to say about this. But first of all, I'll just say Kate Mara was robbed.
Yep.
She needed to be nominated for House of Cards, but I'll let Tiny handle that one. But this brings up something interesting for me. Anna Gunn, I've been rewatching Breaking Bad, and I'm up to season 3 now, and I notice. I mean, people always say like, "Oh, I hate Skylar White so much," and I don't get it because personally, for me, I mean, her husband is lying and sneaking around. I mean, she has reason to be uh, unlikable, or like on the surface she could be unlikable because she's going against who we feel is the protagonist of the show, but she's well within her rights, and I think that she did a phenomenal job this last season because her whole arc this season was just she's basically a prisoner in her own house, and she
Wow.
played it just so well.
True.
Yeah, and I just think it's a toss up for me between her and Amelia Clark because I love her and she's uh, she plays Daenerys in Game of Thrones, and I mean she was great this season. But I think Anna Gunn. I think I'll go with Anna Gunn. Let's see. Want to throw it to Tiny for his comments?
I'm gonna cut in really quick.
Mike, you go right ahead.
Go ahead.
And just say that I'm gonna bow out of this one because I haven't watched don't watch most of those shows. I haven't watched Mad Men, save for the first 2 seasons. And as far as Anna Gunn is concerned, I don't think she is as compelling as you think she is. She's
Fair enough.
mostly playing off of what Walter does. So
That's fair.
Yeah.
I would give it to her out of familiarity, but
Interesting.
Okay.
Tiny,
Okay.
go ahead.
Well, the biggest point I wanted to make was just about Kate Mara because in this show she has really made her character absolutely her own. I think up until she was in this role, she was primarily known for just being kind of a pretty face to put on a character. She didn't have very meaty, deep roles. She was just, like I said, she was just kind of a pretty face. Like she played the pretty girl, and I think this this role really broke her out of that mold because the character is so the character is just so set in her ways, and well, I mean, she does evolve a lot, but I don't know, she really just made the character her own. I can't picture anybody else playing that part now because in the past, if I had just read about the character, I would have said, oh, maybe this actress would have been better or that actress would have been better, but now she just absolutely took it and ran with it and made it perfect, and she got absolutely robbed for this category. But having said that, I'm gonna go with Anna Gunn as well. Part of that is out of unfamiliarity with the other roles. I used to watch Mad Men, but I didn't see Christina Hendricks this season, so I'm not sure about that. But other than that, the only one I watch is Game of Thrones. So I'm gonna go with Anna Gunn as well.
Okay. Um, Tiny, do you want to intro the next category, the supporting actor in a drama series? I'm getting kind of tired of reading the names.
Yeah. No problem. Let's see. Supporting actor in a drama series: Bobby Cannavale for Boardwalk Empire, Jonathan Banks for Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul for Breaking Bad, Jim Carter for Downton Abbey, Peter Dinklage for Game of Thrones, and Mandy Patinkin for Homeland. Interesting. And another issue with that is I haven't seen some of those shows, but that's a pretty stacked category as well. Just looking at, I mean, Peter Dinklage, he's just incredible on Game of Thrones. That character is magnetic.
He is about the only thing that makes me want to watch his involvement in it.
Interesting.
I'm not saying it's bad. I have no critique of that show. I just don't think it's my cup of tea.
Right. You're just not interested in the fantasy or whatever, or that
Right.
kind of thing. I think is what you told me at one point. Yeah.
But Peter Dinklage, man,
He's phenomenal. Um, there are scenes like Mike, for example. There's a scene where he's talking to like his father in the show, and it's magnetic. I mean, it's just jaw-droppingly incredible because they have this relationship where he's kind of like the black sheep of the family, and he just basically the father is just it's just I don't know how to put it into words. It was just really compelling.
Can't really do it justice without seeing it.
Right.
What's your pick for that category, Matt?
Let's see. Oh yeah, no question, absolutely no question. Bobby Cannavale for Boardwalk Empire.
Nice.
In that season, he played Gyp Rossetti, which he was the kind of the villain of the season.
Definitely the villain of the season.
yeah. No kind of there, but I mean, he was just. I said this before, I think, but season 2 ended in such a way that they got rid of some characters, and by the start of season 3, I mean there was kind of a void that needed to be filled. Not necessarily with a villain character or anything like that. Well, yeah, sort of a villain character, but there was a void in the show that he just came in and he just dominated it. It was just an unreal performance. I mean, it was just amazing to me. Um, so I really liked it, and I really hope he gets it. And I mean, I think Aaron Paul can totally get it, and I'd be okay, and Peter Dinklage as well. Jonathan Banks also. But I would just Bobby Cannavale all the way for me.
What about you, Mike?
Again, just a matter of familiarity. It's got to be Aaron Paul for me. Jonathan Banks is good. I love Mike. And unfortunately, I don't think the last 8 episodes for which these nominations are referring are Aaron Paul's best of Breaking Bad.
I agree.
Just for the body of work as a whole. And there's moments of his that I love. Particularly there's an episode where they're in the garage and Walter says something as they're walking out. It's like the end of the episode. Says something to Jesse. So and so got in his way and Gus shot him.
Yeah.
Message. Okay. And he just kind of shrugs. And Jesse, the look on Jesse's face is priceless.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorite moments.
I agree with your point too. I think Aaron Paul's best work was the second season of Breaking Bad. I think he actually won for that one, maybe.
Yeah.
I think he won for that season, but I agree with that. And unfortunately, I have to side with what Matt said about Bobby Cannavale. He was just absolutely like a perfect psychopath. Just I don't know. He was the perfect personification of a psychopath, and he just had absolute disregard for anyone except himself. Just perfect as just a crazy archetype psychopath. He was perfect at that, and I think he deserves that role, or I'm sorry, that award.
Yep, one of the most memorable performances in the past like 5 or so years in television for me.
I need a retread for a second.
Uh-huh.
To supporting actress.
Okay.
And this is going to be hilarious because I know, Matt, how you feel about.
Uh-oh.
However you feel about the tone of Dexter, about Michael C. Hall.
Okay.
And admittedly, it has dropped significantly in quality. But, spoiler alert, it's 2 seasons ago. Deb, Jennifer Carpenter's character, now knows about Dexter. That is a serial killer. And the treatment of her knowledge of that and her reaction to it is as genuine as you could imagine someone reacting to finding out brother. It was acted so well that despite how so many people feel about the show and the dip in quality,
sure.
I can't help but recognize her work last season. And while maybe she isn't better than a lot of these supporting actresses nominated, she should have at least been. You know what I mean? Not a win, but I think she should have been recognized.
You deserve the recognition. Okay, I can respect that. My feelings toward Dexter aside, because like I said before, I've only gave it 7 episodes, so I can't really speak to that. It just wasn't for me.
And she is a non-factor in the first 7 of the show.
I noticed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can respect that. That's cool. Mike, do you want to introduce Outstanding Drama Series?
I can. Outstanding drama series in alphabetical order. Has Breaking Bad, Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, House of Cards, Homeland, and Mad Men. For me, this sounds like a broken record, but I'm not incredibly familiar with all of these shows. I don't like Mad Men. I don't get Mad Men. So it's easy Breaking
I'm right there with you in regards to Mad Men. But I would say that I would pick House of Cards just because, like I said, this is a tough category. It's a very tough category. You have House of Cards, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad. Those are the three that I'm familiar with. Interchangeable for me. I mean, I would give House of Cards, but I wouldn't be upset if Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad got it. And then you have Mad Men, which is a critical darling, and people love it for some reason because, I mean, it's very popular for people who love to watch stuff not happen.
God.
I can respect that, but House of Cards all the way for me because I was just blown away by that season. Just every piece fit together so well as a complete series of a complete season of television. And I think with Breaking Bad, part of the thing about it is that this past season it felt like the first half of a season, which is what it was. And I think that's one of the reasons why I would pick House of Cards over it, even though I think that Breaking Bad is still the best show on television, just because it's grandfathered in at this point until the end of its run. And then I want to talk a little bit about Downton Abbey, just real quick. Downton Abbey has permeated through every piece of media that I consume in references and like people like Patton Oswalt will live tweet every episode, and it just annoys me because it doesn't seem like the type of show that needs to be live tweeted. Like you can't live tweet Downton Abbey, and it just bugs me, and it kind of I want to watch it, but I feel like there's an unreal expectation with me that everyone has built it up to be this great show, and I'm sure it is a very good show, but I feel like it'll be another Mad Men situation for me because
I was just gonna say, I bet not. I bet it's like Mad Men.
Yeah, I that's why I'm so hesitant to watch it. But like I said, it's all over the place, and I'm gonna watch it eventually. But
same here.
Yeah. Tiny, what's your pick for outstanding drama series?
Ah man, it's such a Sophie's choice between Breaking Bad and House of Cards for me. If House of Cards was in its 5th season, I would go with that because I think that's the biggest disparity between those two, specifically those two nominations.
Very true.
Is that Breaking Bad is going into its 6th season, whereas House of Cards had its first. But I don't think that's a really fair criteria to judge it on. I don't know, maybe, but I'm just gonna have to go with Breaking Bad. But I'll probably say the same thing next year because it'll be its last season and it's gonna be awesome. There's no way it's not gonna be awesome. So, but I'm gonna go with Breaking Bad.
That's a really good point because, like you said, I mean, House of Cards it was a very very strong first season, and that has it going for it. It's that it's new, it's fresh. The writers haven't exhausted themselves with anything, and I kind of wonder like that's the one that I want to win. I don't know if it will win or if it has the chance to win. I think that probably Downton Abbey will probably come up and steal it away from all of them because everyone loves it and I don't watch it. But I think with House of Cards, it's still new. I'm hoping that the amount of nominations that they got is just indicative of people loving it so much and not like being like, oh, everyone loves this and it's kind of killing traditional television. Let's just throw them some nominations but not really vote for them or anything. Outstanding comedy series, we have this one. Outstanding comedy series, we have top of my list or top of the file that I have on it, The Big Bang Theory. Ugh. Girls, Louie, Modern Family, 30 Rock, Veep. You'll notice here that there's no Parks and Rec. Again, I don't want to be a broken record, but let's move past it. Big Bang Theory, I do not think is an outstanding anything. I think that Jim Parsons is good, but you can only take so much. I think my pick for this would be Louie. Even though I've only watched the first season. Going back to what you said, Mike, about it, that it's just Louis C.K. he's a remarkable talent, and it's remarkable that his work ethic. I'm so happy that he's being rewarded for his work, like the literal work that he's pouring into this. So I think that I would be happy with him winning, with that winning. Mike, what do you think? What's your outstanding comedy series?
Louis. I mean, of this list, Louis, for sure. Modern Family is probably the will win, right? Do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
For 30 Rock, because it was the last season for 30 Rock, so one of those probably.
I love the first season of Modern Family, and actually the third season of Modern Family was pretty good, but this last one lackluster. Can we talk about the lack of love for Arrested Development?
Oh yeah. I was gonna say that. I mean, we could probably do a whole episode about.
You're right.
And maybe we will, but no, that's fine. Um, I, you know, I think I'm gonna step on what Tiny's about to say, but I liked the episodes. I liked them a lot. It felt like I was watching it. Felt like I was in an alternate universe where it was never canceled. And the format was a little jarring at first, but I kind of got on board with it about 2/3 of the way through. And I haven't written a review about it for the site yet because I want to give it a second go and see how it sits on a second viewing. Um, but I was happy to see Jason Bateman get nominated. Um, it, I mean, it could have taken the place of The Big Bang Theory, clearly. Um, and Modern Family, I mean, I haven't watched it since season 2. I actually had the last 2 episodes of season 2 DVR'd for um for about a year or like 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't feel like watching it. It was a burden to like just even watch it because I was just bored.
Modern Family is cute. It makes me feel like Everybody Loves Raymond 10 years ago.
Yes,
Is it anybody's really favorite show? No, but can you sit down and watch it with the whole family and get some chuckles? Yeah, absolutely.
it's the safe pick. It's the
Totally.
safe show. Yeah. Tiny, you wanted to talk about Arrested Development?
Yeah, I actually disagree with both of you. I don't think it should have been nominated at all. I am not a fan of the new season. I've watched 12 of the 13 episodes or 11 of the 12, something like I have one left, and I've like normally something like that I would just peel off the episodes just in like 2-3 days and watch all of them. But I think it's been like 2 months and I haven't even finished it yet.
Wow.
I'm not adapting to the new format at all, and part of the reason I think is just because the format of the first 3 seasons was just beyond brilliant to me, and I thought it was absolutely perfect as far as comedy goes. And they basically said, "Hey, this is so great. Everybody really liked it. Not enough people watched it, but everybody that watched it pretty much across the board liked it and thought it was original and brilliant. So let's do away with that and start a new format." It's like, what were they thinking? I don't know. I just thought they should have stuck to what they knew, and it would have been better. That's
I mean, the format's out of necessity, right? Because they couldn't get all the actors at one time.
Right.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Contractually, they all wanted to do it, but couldn't at the same time. So you notice there's where they're all in the penthouse at one time. That's when they're all together. And I think there's a quick one where they're at Quattro de Mayo.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where
Quattro
they're
de
all
Cinco.
together. Other than Quattro de Cinco. Other than that, they just couldn't get them all at the same time, which necessitated the person by person.
But
And I agree, the format is I don't like that either. I would have preferred the ensemble cast. But
go ahead.
Okay, I mean mine's gonna be kind of deeper.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing for me about it, and I guess the thing about outstanding comedy series, kind of just something I made up. The way I like to rate comedy shows is the joke density, which is different from the JPM or the jokes per minute. The show like The Big Bang Theory or Modern Family has a very high JPM. The joke density is the quality of jokes times the joke per minute. With a show like Seinfeld, which is just quality jokes through and through. Shows like Happy Endings, which is quality jokes through and through. and Arrested Development. The thing about Arrested Development was while the format was jarring, and I missed the ensemble, um, the joke density was still there. And in comparison to The Big Bang Theory or 30 Rock, I don't watch Girls, but even Modern Family, it had a better joke density.
That's a fair point.
That is, and to speak about the format and not in the contractual obligations of the actors on Arrested Development, I will say that I liked the format because I thought that it was a good way. It was a good way to reintroduce the audience to the characters. Every character had their own episode, their own storyline, and it kind of was a good way to play catch up. And this is only like I'll be on board with it if the next season or the movie, if they do a movie, if it goes back to the ensemble.
Agree 100%.
Yeah, but I will say that while I did enjoy it, I did enjoy watching it. It felt like I was just catching up with old friends. Um, I will say that if they couldn't get them contractually obligated, or if they couldn't get them all back at once, maybe they should have just waited until they could get them all back. Because if you're gonna do it right.
That's my opinion. What Matt just said, that's exactly what I'd say. If you can't do it the way you want to, don't do it. They shouldn't have done it, in my opinion. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that there was a contractual issue like that, and that's kind of why the format was changed. I didn't realize that, but that doesn't really change my opinion. They shouldn't have done it then. That's how I feel about it. But I guess my pick is for that category is actually Modern Family, believe it or not. I actually really enjoyed this season. And I agree the Big Bang Theory shouldn't be in there. I would actually say I think Happy Endings should be in the place of the Big Bang Theory, and I would actually pick that. I think that should be in there, but I'll go with Modern Family.
Okay.
Not super excited about that category.
Yeah. Tiny, do you want to intro Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series? Kind of jumping up a little bit.
Okay. Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. Laura Dern for Enlightened, Lena Dunham for Girls, Edie Falco for Nurse Jackie, Amy Poehler for Parks and Rec, Tina Fey for 30 Rock, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus for Veep. Interesting category. What's your pick for that, Matt?
I think you know, judging from the rest of this episode. Amy Poehler, Parks and Rec. I've said my piece about that, and it being snubbed. Having said that, I haven't seen it like any of the other categories, so I'll just go ahead and say Parks and Rec, Amy Poehler. Mike, what do you think?
Sure, I like Amy.
I guess it's actually unanimous because that's who I'm going to go with too. I actually think Liz Lemon is a slightly better character, but I didn't follow this last season, and I don't know. I'll go with Amy Poehler, but I actually think Tina Fey will probably win.
Oh, really? I was gonna say Lena Dunham.
Yeah, either her or Tina Fey, but I think Hollywood likes Tina Fey a little better.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Mike, do you want to do lead actor in a comedy series?
Sure. Outstanding lead actor in a comedy series: Alec Baldwin, 30 Rock; Jason Bateman, Arrested Development; Louis C.K. for Louis; Don Cheadle, House of Lies; Matt LeBlanc for Episodes; Jim Parsons.
What's your pick for this, Mike?
This is good. I like this one a lot. I love Jason Bateman, and I want it to be Jason Bateman. And the thing that's weird about it is, for a show that works because of the ensemble, the thing about Jason Bateman is he's the straight man in a cast full of nut jobs. But you don't get that in the fourth season of Resident.
You really don't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't say Jason Bateman. That being said, Louis C.K.
Okay, good. I can get on board with that. My pick, yeah, I don't know. I default to Louis because, you know what? I'll stand by it. I'll stand by Jason Bateman. I'll go with Jason Bateman because that first episode, Flight of the Phoenix or Flight of the Phoenix, it was just such a weird way to see Michael Bluth, and it was such an interesting change for the character. And I just think I think he nailed it. I really did. Yeah, and yeah, I'd go with that. Tiny, what do you think?
I'm actually going to kind of rule out Matt LeBlanc and Louis C.K. And I know you probably think that's blasphemy, but the reason is because they're kind of playing themselves to an extent. Obviously Matt LeBlanc, but Louis as well. Because I don't just looking at it as far as acting goes, like Louis the character is phenomenal. He's hilarious. He's interesting. He's a great character, but acting, Louis C.K. is basically playing himself. So I'm kind of ruling those two out. I haven't seen House of Lies, but I'm actually and I'm just kind of sick of Jim Parsons. He's brilliant as Sheldon. He's just beyond unique in that role, but he's already won the award at least twice. I think he's been nominated like 4 times for it, so it's let it die. So I'm actually going to go with Alec Baldwin for 30 Rock because, again, just as far as playing a character, like Alec, if you know about Alec Baldwin in real life, he's super liberal and just kind of annoying, really, in real life. But he played the super conservative guy, really funny guy on 30 Rock, and I don't know. I didn't even watch the last season of 30 Rock, but I'm guessing I'm just pinning that on the overall arc of that character. I love that character, and I thought Alec Baldwin was just beyond perfect for that role. I mean, the role was written for him, so I'm gonna go with Alec Baldwin.
Okay, good.
He also probably will win.
Yeah, I think so. Because again, he loved, and it was the last season, so yeah, that's probably.
I totally agree. Should we close out that category?
Totally.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and say, we're up to. I skipped some like miniseries. We can debate. I feel like those wouldn't be very good debates because I don't think we've watched many of them as collective of all three of us. But skip ahead to the last two outstanding leads in drama. Outstanding lead actress Vera Farmiga is nominated for Bates Motel. Then we have Michelle Dockery for Downton Abbey, Claire Danes for Homeland, Robin Wright for House of Cards, Elizabeth Moss for Mad Men, Connie Britton for Nashville, and Kerry Washington for Scandal. Now, for me, first of all, I will say that I'm actually surprised that Vera Farmiga got nominated for Bates Motel. Like I watched that show, I reviewed it on the site obsessiveviewer.com, but I just thought that it was she delivered a very good performance, a great performance even as Norman Bates' mother. But some parts were a little much, and the scene the show kind of called for it, but I don't think she will win, and I don't necessarily think she should win because, shocker, I think Robin Wright deserves it. Because her character, she played Kevin Spacey's wife, kind of this like Lady Macbeth kind of character, and just their relationship as it played out on screen was just phenomenal. It was just a very deep, rich character, and she played it beautifully. Mike, what do you think?
This is another one of those for me that I'm bow out quick. Say Claire Danes out of familiarity.
Okay, sure. Tiny.
I'm gonna pick. Geez, I just don't know. The only thing I'm familiar with is Robin Wright because I just haven't watched the other stuff. I will say that Elizabeth Moss as Peggy Olson, the first like 3 from Mad Men, the first like 3 seasons, she was my favorite character, and I thought she was incredible in that role. She was great. But I guess just my pick, I'm gonna go with Robin Wright. She was great.
Okay. So no love for Scandal.
I love Kerry Washington.
She's awesome.
He is awesome. Yeah. I will say that just as an aside that I saw this I heard that on the radio, like one of the commercials for Scandal. It was like there was a line that was just laugh out loud funny. It was it was this man saying, "I'm in love with a woman that's not my wife," and does that mean I shouldn't continue to be the president of the United States? And it just seemed like such a weird.
That's a crappy line.
Yeah.
Didn't Bill Clinton answer that question?
Yeah, he sure did.
Alrighty, moving on. The lead actor in a drama, we have Bryan Cranston for Breaking Bad, Hugh Bonneville in Downton Abbey, Damian Lewis for Homeland, Kevin Spacey for House of Cards, John Hamm for Mad Men, and Jeff Daniels for The Newsroom. My pick, I'm actually, man, this is kind of a Sophie's choice for me because actually it's more than that because between Bryan Cranston for Breaking Bad, Kevin Spacey for House of Cards, and Jeff Daniels for The Newsroom, I just don't know. It's a Sophie's choice. I think I'm actually going to go with Jeff Daniels for The Newsroom, just for bringing that character to life. I don't know, but part of me wants to say House of Cards. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Jeff Daniels. Sophie's choice. I don't know. Jeff Daniels.
Sophie's choice with triplets. I'm gonna go with Kevin Spacey. Spacey or
Imagine
Cranston.
that.
Yeah, I know, right? I agree with Jeff Daniels. It was phenomenal. I mean, he was just incredible. And I mean, Aaron Sorkin's scripts. I mean, like if an actor can't handle it, it shows through very clearly.
It takes a special actor to read Sorkin. Yeah.
Exactly, and he defied my expectations. Honestly, I mean, I was excited for it, but I was kind of hesitant, thinking like, could Jeff Daniels really pull it off? And he did just beautifully. I mean, he was just perfectly suited for the role. But and Cranston was great. Yeah, I'm gonna go with House of Cards just because I love it. And Kevin Spacey, yeah, Kevin Spacey throughout the season had these cutaways, these monologues where he breaks the fourth wall and he talks to the audience, and it could have been just hacky and just really really lame, but he played it to the point where it was almost Shakespearean, and it was just added so much to the show for me, and I think that he deserves it for that. Mike, how about you?
I think it's pretty obvious that I'm going to pick Bryan Cranston.
Sure.
I'm vaguely familiar with the first couple episodes of Homeland, and Damian Lewis is good. I haven't watched House of Cards yet. I wish I would. As handsome as John Hamm is, and that is a handsome, handsome man.
He is.
Again, I don't get Mad Men. I don't think maybe he's not for me given compelling enough scripts to work from, so I don't think he's very interesting. All I know of The Newsroom, I know very Sorkin-y. All I've seen of The Newsroom is that quote mined internet meme. We are not the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
But to wonder if he would be good in the role is interesting because I have no problem imagining doing Sorkin dialogue.
Interesting.
Well, I'm not surprised that he does it well. So I imagine if I watched that show because I love Jeff Daniels, this might be harder for me to decide. But my pick is absolutely.
Okay.
And he's
that's a
just
good
been
pick.
awesome. He's just been awesome in the last season. Breaking Bad. Talk about Breaking Bad as just the de-evolution of a character. And
That's another stacked category.
It really is. Yeah.
I guess that's pretty much the end of the list, really.
Yeah.
It's the big stuff. Yeah.
Comedies?
Okay.
Did we do those? Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. Usually the way we wrap things up is we just kind of talk about what we're looking forward to next. For me, the big thing I'm looking forward to, it's a little bit down the road, but it's a movie called 12 Years a Slave. I recently just found out about it. I wasn't even aware that it was being made, but it's based on a true story about a black man who was born free in I think this in New York State in like the 1840s, and he is tricked by two men to come to Washington D.C. on the guise of him getting a job, and they end up kidnapping him and selling him into slavery in the South. And it's the main character is played by Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's a British actor. He's really every time you know exactly who he is if you saw him. He's an incredible actor.
Have you ever seen Red Belt?
Red Belt. I haven't seen that. No.
I haven't seen it either.
It's he's in that one. He's the main character in that one. Fantastic martial arts. One of the best, probably the best modern martial arts movie that I can think.
Wow, interesting. I'll have to keep that on a list because that's cool.
Definitely write it down. If you like him, get down with martial arts movie. That's great.
Definitely. Okay. Cool. So yeah, but that movie looks incredible. The biggest selling point of it for me is that it's directed by Steve McQueen, not the action star from the 70s, but the new British director who's only done a couple movies. He's the two movies I've seen of his, especially Hunger, 2008's Hunger, was just an earth-shatteringly incredibly directed film. And so I'm really looking forward to what just anything he does, and that this format I think is going to really play to his strengths. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Matt, how about you?
Well, I'll go with Fruitvale Station. It's got Michael B. Jordan. It's about the BART transit shooting from back in, like, I think it was 2009.
2009, yeah, I think.
Yeah. I just, like, I didn't, sadly I didn't really follow the story that closely. But I think that Michael B. Jordan, I honestly believe he's one of the best young actors working today. And he has a lot of potential. Like, he was in The Wire, which was just phenomenal. His role was incredible. He was in Friday Night Lights. Um, and Parenthood. I haven't watched Parenthood yet. I keep forgetting that.
And Chronicle as well.
Chronicle. I mean, he killed it in Chronicle. Um, he really flew high in that movie. I'm cutting that out. Mike, what are you looking forward to?
You mentioned Fruitvale Station. I'm looking forward to that. I think the next movie I'm going to see in theaters is The Conjuring. Really excited about The Conjuring.
Nice.
I'm a pretty big horror movie fanboy, and the main characters in The Conjuring are based on the people who investigated a lot of these things. And this is one particular investigation, but they also investigated the Amityville horror house and all that stuff. So I've read a lot about them, and I'm pretty excited about that. The trailer gets me going.
Who's the female lead in that? Is it Vera Farmiga? Or am I wrong?
She's the I guess she's the other investigator. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
But then the family is Vera Farmiga is the other investigator. Lily Taylor.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure either. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Who else is in that?
Yeah, me neither. But that's cool. I haven't seen much about it. I've seen the trailer a couple times, but it does look pretty cool. I like the kind of 70s setting of it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, Tiny, do you want to count us out, or is there anything else you want to discuss, Mike?
Oh, not that I can think of. Finally meet your voice, I guess.
I am real, I swear.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm convinced.
Cool. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. It was this was great. Yeah.
Have to do it again.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, as always, thanks for joining us, everybody. If you're looking for more, you can check our past episodes on the website or on iTunes. You can always go to the website to look for more content, for articles. You can find us on Twitter. Matt is @ObsessiveViewer, and I am @ObsessiveTiny. You can find us at facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for joining us today.
Mike, do you have anything you want to plug or anything, or where can we find you online?
You can find me at I am Mike White on Twitter.
Cool. All right, great.
Worth investigating.
Awesome. All right, thanks everybody.
Bye.